Good morning, everybody. Great to see you all here so early and that you made it the heavy traffic and the inclement weather conditions. And I want to thank John and Alan for the invitation here this morning. I met some of the lads at Digital Construction Week in London a few weeks ago, and I was delighted to take up the invitation to be with you all at this, what I would say, a very important event for all the main players in the construction sector. I want to thank and recognise the tremendous work being done by CETA, Enterprise Ireland, and the National BIM Council of Ireland as well. The construction sector has always been a significant contributor to our national economy, and 1 in 10 jobs in Ireland are actually employed in that sector. And it's very evident in Dublin as you travel around the country. The importance of the construction sector. When you see here in Dublin the many towering cranes, and when you travel around the country as well and see all our cities and in a similar situation. So it's really good for society, it's good for the economy, and moreover it's good for our economy, and of course it's important for employment as well. You look back at where we were back in 2010 when unemployment had a high of 15.1%, and today 6% and falling. So the construction industry in recent times has played a very important role in those figures as well. I'm pleased to say that also that many of our indigenous construction businesses are increasingly competing for work internationally, and are building a reputation across the globe for delivering world-class projects. And I've seen this myself at first hand whenever I travel, whether it's in trade missions or bilateral meetings or whatever, how important the work that Irish construction firms are playing all over the world, whether it's in the Middle East, in Europe or whatever. In fact, earlier this year I did a trade mission to Antwerp in Belgium, and I had a number of construction companies with me, and they were all doing the business in certain sectors in Europe. They were pharma, actually, construction companies that were out there with me. And of course, a few weeks ago I was at the Digital Construction Week in London as well. So our Irish industries at home and abroad in the construction sector, and all of you as main players, are doing your bit. So like most sectors in today's working world, these businesses are challenged to work in an increasingly digitalised world with sophisticated demands from intelligent clients. The digital revolution is particularly evident with the rapid development and the adoption of building information modelling, the BIM, across the globe. And the Irish government recognises the importance of BIM to see the benefits that it brings together, all the technology, process improvements and digital information to radically improve project delivery and outcomes, and of course the management of building assets as well. Using BIM, construction companies will find more productive ways of working that improves competitiveness, again, as I say, at home and abroad. In fact, using BIM will, in a very short while, be the only way we have of delivering and managing projects in the construction sector. And of course, the Irish government recognised that, the importance that work and Enterprise Ireland doing so in the whole wide industry, and the support that has been received in promoting BIM in Ireland and delivering on their responsibilities as set out in the Construction 2020 strategy, and in more recent times in our action plan for jobs 2017. And that will be very evident as well when we publish the new action plan for jobs in January or February next year. Particularly with the fact that the construction industry is back there in top again. More immediately, of course, as Alan and John has pointed out, the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform, Pascal Donoghue, this week set out the government strategy for the increased use of digital technology in the delivery of key public works projects that are funded through the Public Capital Programme. Strategy itself, it has a twofold objective. First, to manage the adoption of BIM in an ordinary fashion across the public capital programmes, reduce the disruption that such processes can bring, both within the public sector and to the consultants and the contractors that are engaged in the process. Second objective is to act as a catalyst for the wider adoption across the industry generally. The Office of Government Procurement will prepare a guidance material and template procurement documents so that all public bodies will address BIM consistently across the range of projects that are procured. The implementation programme for public sector bodies will be phased, starting with projects of significant scale in the first year, extending out to 4 years for smaller projects. Strata of industry with the capacity to undertake large public works projects are in many cases already being asked to deliver such projects through BIM. The key difference will be that the requirements for delivery will be standardised to the greatest extent possible. The government is aware of the support that's necessary across the industry as these requirements are rolled out, and will appoint a champion for BIM whose role will be to put into place a framework of technical information, advice, guidance, as well as promoting the uptake of BIM across the whole wider industry. This initiative, as well as the government support for the National BIM Council Roadmap, will be published shortly, and it could be viewed as a step change in alignment between the ambitions of government and the construction sector. The work of the National BIM Council is evident on how both the government and the industry can work together. This is what we'll be talking about, I suppose, and you'll be talking about as well, is the whole area of collaboration, both public bodies, government and the private sector working together to create a more agile and innovation-rich sector. So in other words, that we can create jobs and export potential for the industry now and in the future as well. The challenge now for Ireland and the Irish construction companies is to aim to become leaders in the industry with the adoption of BIM. That's the implementing the common standards and guidelines that are in a common place. And before I finish, I just want maybe to also remind all these companies that are here today, particularly the smaller SME companies, of their obligations under GDPR. See that the data protection remit, I have the data protection remit, and I'll be working closely with the Data Commissioner Helen Dixon and her team to ensure that over the coming months, to ensure that companies are aware of the importance of being signed up for GDPR when it comes into effect on the 25th of May next. There will be a large awareness campaign around the country. I know the construction sector, Sector Industry Federation and other sectors are actively involved in the campaign to make sure that you are all GDPR ready, because it will be enforced in full after the 25th of May next. So you have 2 days here of very important meetings. You have a lot of keynote speakers as well, and I think it's an important conference and very important for the construction sector as we enter, I suppose, a new phase in the whole digitalised world, because the future of work is changing rapidly. The change coming in the digital sector in the next 5 to 10 years is rapid, and to be, more than has happened over the last 20, 30 years. The way we do business. That's why, as Minister with responsibility for the EU single digital market, I want to encourage everybody in the use of the digital sector, particularly SMEs and micro enterprises. You can take it for granted that babies born today won't be driving cars. You can take that for granted. You can see what's happening in 4G and what's going to happen in 5G in the future as well. And in your own sector as well, the whole area of virtual reality, what's going to happen with artificial intelligence, robotics, they're going to be very much part of our lives and our future as well. So we need to embrace that change, and I'm delighted to see that the construction sector is embracing it, and BIM has played a very important role in that at National Council, and I want to thank you all for that. I have no doubt but that with all the players we have here in both the private, the public and sector, that we all collaborate together. If we all collaborate together, can I just say to you, I think we will rise to the challenge, and that Ireland will continue to grow, and that it will excel, not just in the construction sector, but in other sectors as well. So I wish you well, and thank you very much for inviting me here this morning. I have another conference to open in a short time now, so unfortunately I can't delay too long with you, but you have some very eminent and experts here to speak on the whole area, so I wish you well, and again, thank you.